Good day, good people. I'm Dr. Johnny Pierce, but you can just call me Johnny, and this is the Actually Well podcast. And today I am with
Stacey Lambour. I guess it's Doctor. It is doctors.
Introduce yourself however you want to, because I have people call me Johnny even though I'm doctor.
I was gonna say usually people just call me Stacey or Dr. Stacey. So
Well, I know you, Stacey. We had ourselves a great chat last Friday, and you were willing to come on and continue the series I've been doing where I interview ladies in and around wellness for the month of May, which is Women's Mental Health Month. And Stacey, what do you do?
Well, I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I also have sort of a boutique practice that I have opened up in the last year, where I'm able to do the med management, therapy, and sort of behavioral coaching.
Okay.
So that my goal is that if people invest in their this approach, right, where you can use the medicines to help support you if you need it, to work on some of the therapy perspectives, as well as some just very basic behavioral outcomes and kind of behavioral modification, that you'll be able to not have to be on the mental health merry-go-round perpetually.
Yeah.
That people can invest maybe for 18 months, possibly 3 years, and make real significant change in developing more self-agency and greater esteem, self-soothing skills, emotional regulation, being able to articulate boundaries and maintain them in relationships, how to communicate your boundaries. And so it's been really nice being able to have my own practice and having a voice in the space.
Yeah.
And I've really seen my clients are really enjoying it and making what I like to do is put myself out of a job, really.
See, you're speaking my language already. You're speaking my language already. I tell clients, I typically wait until either I say it at the evaluation, and then I'll wait a few sessions in and remind them that I said it at the evaluation, that I want to get fired.
Right.
I want to get fired. I want you to see me as extra, something to cut off, something to prune away from your life. Because at the beginning, a lot of our clients see us as essential. Oh, I got to have this person, because if I don't have this person, I'm going to shreds. And I'm just that's just not true. I have yet to ever have a client start with me that had no skills at all.
Absolutely.
It just never happened.
Right.
So I want to encourage them to remember, you got skills.
Right.
Our aim is to add to your skills.
Right.
Because we're building on a foundation that got you to this point. You may not like where you are right now, but it ain't all bad.
Right.
So yes, I too am looking to get fired. It is a ceremonious day when they do in fact fire me, at least the ones where they let me know they're firing me. So they come in there yeah, Johnny, I think today's going to be the last one. I'm like, beautiful.
Right.
I'm excited for you.
Right.
But you mentioned that you've had your practice for about a year. How long have you been in the field?
Well, boy, I started nursing, and I started with holistic health. So I did massage therapy and energy work, things like that. So always in a healing orientation.
Okay.
And then I decided to go to nursing school. I always wanted to be in psychiatric nursing.
Wow.
So I've been in some form of public health, psychiatric nursing, for 20 years.
Cool.
I've been working as a psychiatric nurse practitioner in the area for over a decade.
Wow.
So yeah, it was cutting the cord and doing it on my own was a little nerve-wracking, but yeah, it's been pretty exciting.
Well, you've been building this thing up for a while now.
So yeah, slowly building, and certainly building for me. I actually, again, kind of opening my own practice, establishing that, and full time it's about a year in July.
Okay.
Also wrote a book in that time.
Wait, we haven't even talked about a book.
Yeah.
What's this book?
Well, the whole book is on my practice philosophy.
Okay.
Because I was trying to be able to, when I opened the practice, what I wanted to do is have a space where I could work with clients. But I also, there's a need, and people don't know where to find the information, and sometimes they don't have the resources to work with somebody. Right. So I also wanted to create a space where people could have some really beneficial information through articles or books or videos that they could have access to for free, no matter where they were. So I'm starting that. Okay. Some of them are with reels and podcasts and putting that out, also doing a blog. But yeah, no, so the book is my first book. I have a few others in the pipeline, but I'm actually really proud of the book. It is about my practice philosophy, which essentially is, I really feel like I take love very seriously. And
it's the name of your practice, right?
Yeah, Caritas means love. So, and I think love is an action.
Yes.
And most of my practice focuses on moving towards this consistent orientation where we're loving ourselves more completely, truly loving ourselves. And then when we're able to do that and have self-compassion and self-forgiveness, also to be able to say that I have needs and they're valid, and I'm not really going to be continually negotiating with them. And I'm not going to subject myself to relationships where I'm not able to have someone be reciprocal in just validating that I have needs and it's okay.
Right.
And so, as we do that, I think that it naturally overflows into the rest of our relationships. So within our community, with our partners, with our children. And so, but I think that gives us where we have a stronger anchor, where some of the ways I explain it to my clients is that what I want to get you to is where you're like in a boat in the middle of the ocean, right? And the waves will change and the weather will change. That's everything we can't control. Mm-hmm. But you know that whatever it is, you will be able to navigate your boat through that storm or through the beautiful days, and you'll feel very confident about that.
I like that.
And so you have a greater sense of peace and contentment. You're not getting kind of yanked around by...
You're not reactionary.
Exactly, right? You're choosing as opposed to reacting to everything.
You're hitting at something that I've been talking about more and more in my own practice, about how like security, external security is an illusion, because we all know that anything can happen anytime. Right. Is it probable all the time? No, but it's possible. Security that's internal, a sense of self or a certainty in self, a belief in self, that can be enduring, because I can walk into any room, I can walk into any situation, and I can trust myself in that situation.
Absolutely.
And with that, I can have security and maybe a degree of predictability about how this is going to play out. So, being in that boat, I know how my boat works. I know where it's strong. I know where it can be, improved. I know how to use various parts of the boat to stay safe. And I also know I got to sail on my boat, when I got to let it up and when I need to bring it down.
Exactly.
So, being able to know the self and, as you said, love the self, which, how many of our clients struggle with that? There's something they've done in the past or some aspect about themselves. Maybe it can be, for our clients who struggle with something like an eating disorder, they don't like their body. Right. Or we got our clients who have had a long history with mental health issues, and they have had relationships get ruined by it. They may not love their mind. They may hate their emotions. How can we get them to see themselves as a full, rich person with all parts deserving love and needing to maybe be learned and appreciated? Because even the hard parts about ourselves, they still are part of us.
Right. Well, yes. And part of that, I love how you touched on that, because I think that I like to listen to people's dialogue.
Yeah.
And it gives me like a barometer of where they are at really truly having that self-compassion. And again, how do they talk to themselves? I think it speaks a lot of somebody's sense of self when you can hear that. And a lot of the times you will hear ourselves, I think we're more addicted to shame than we think we are sometimes. But I mean, have you ever heard someone where they're just like, oh, that was so stupid, or I couldn't believe that I did that. And they're really unkind to themselves.
Very much so.
If they make a mistake, they are ruminating on it as if it's not okay to be human and just part of making mistakes. A lot of them, I think, are focused on how other people will perceive them. And so they spend a lot of time thinking about what can I do to, control the environment. And
I'm still looking outside,
right, because so that other people will perceive me, or I'll get the reaction that I want. And so it's sort of like, what parts can I show, what parts aren't acceptable of me, like, it's not that I'm going in, I'll let them make a decision, I'm okay with whatever decision they
I know how I feel about me.
Exactly. Right. It's like, what part of myself is acceptable and valid that I can present, right? And in that sense, I'm like, we're just cutting off parts of ourselves and saying, like, it's not good enough. Related to like eating disorders and stuff, a lot of the times I recommend a very pragmatic approach to eating. I also look at our basic needs. When we were infants, we needed things, and that's what our family had to give us, or our caregivers, such as like food was one of them, nutrition, elimination, right? Sleep, and we have to breathe, but making sure our stimulation, and we're not overstimulated, understimulated, and that our temperature is regulated. So a lot of people, I don't know why we grow up and we sort of forget that these are basic needs. They're just basic human needs, right? And so I look at really focusing on pragmatically meeting our basic needs.
Right.
Because if we start getting better at that simple thing and giving ourselves, I look at that as taking care of ourselves.
Right. Those are foundational pieces.
Absolutely. And so with food, I think of it as one of those things is I need to give myself the appropriate amount of food with the right nutrients so I feel well. I also look at it as like waiting for hunger cues is almost like the gas tank is on empty.
Yep, you're already in trouble. If you're thirsty, that means you're running at a deficit. If you're hungry, you're running at a deficit.
Right.
You want to get in a schedule where you never end up finding yourself in those situations, or rarely ever do.
Exactly. So, and again, like infants, you're feeding them, every couple hours, so they have constantly something in their system and their body is maintaining. So I kind of try to go back to those relationships, because essentially that's just how humans grow well.
Right.
And that's the same stuff that we still need. And again, it's like, we don't want to wait until we're hungry and starving. A lot of people like, I don't have time to take care of myself in a very basic way. It is wild to me, like, right? Because I look at it and I listen to that stuff and I'm like, how are you supposed to function? Your blood sugar is going to be going down. You're not going to feel well. You're not going to have just the basic glucose that you need. So I'm like, start in the morning at every 2 to 3 hours, like 200-300 calories kind of thing, or whatever is working for you, filled with nutrients. And then, by the evening, like, you don't really eat past 6, but you feel like ready for your day and you can take on your day and you're not going up and down with blood sugar and stuff. So again, I look at that again, going back to the basic things human need as a way to love ourselves, because that's how we were taken care of and taught love, right? In infancy.
Very fair. It's the basics.
Yeah.
You using the gas tank analogy actually makes a lot of sense for me, because I've used it as well. I do a lot of driving, though. I think that's why I make so many driving analogies. But I just think about how, so often I have clients, and I've had clients throughout my career who just did not eat breakfast. Yeah. And I would say to them, like, okay, so wait, let me get this straight. So you start your day on a regular basis and demand things of your body and your mind, and you don't replenish it with any kind of energy or nutrition until maybe lunchtime, and you expect that to go well.
Right.
And the client's like, well, when you say it like that, and I'm like, well, I'm not just saying it like that. That's literally how your body is experiencing it, because you ask your body to drive a car, pay attention, be emotionally available, whatever the case may be. And you've given it like nothing to work with, because dinner was many, many hours ago. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's like, just like even that, like, valuing sleep, valuing breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. It's because it's the first meal of the day, and that's the one that your body runs off of for the first part of the day. And just those basic things. Sometimes those conversations are the hardest ones to have in therapy, because it's foreign to a client that stuff would be important. Like, no. What's really important is that I'm stressed. And it's like, yeah, your body's going to receive stress a lot easily when it doesn't have anything to help it. You got to help the body. Now, I haven't asked you about this, and given that May also happens to be the month in which Mother's Day is celebrated, but you happen to be a mom.
I am a mom.
And how do you feel about being a mom? What's really been awesome about being a mom? What's challenging about being a mom? All the questions about being a mom.
Oh, well, I am a fly by the seat of your pants kind of mom. I read somewhere that basically parents need to be, I want lots of moms to give themselves grace. We only need to be attuned to our children 60% of the time, and they will become functioning adults. So, it's okay.
Only 60%. You're good to go.
60% is the goal, right?
The good enough mom.
I know they're like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to, mess them up. I'm like, we definitely will. Let's just,
let's own that we mess up our kids.
That. We just want to mess them up a little less than our parents messed us up, right? Boom. And again, 60% is pretty great. And then I just will agree to pay for their therapy. And and I apologize profusely. I'm like, when I lack attunement, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I have bandwidth issues, and I have my own stuff that I still deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so, I feel like, that will get them very, very far.
Oh, yeah. Because you're modeling accountability and responsibility, and at the same time, humanity. Right,
exactly. And, being able to say, like, yes, I kind of missed the boat, didn't have it. But also I think that, there's a lot of burden that women take on, especially after feminism, right? So they're like still primarily holding the household logistics manager role.
Yeah.
And then they may also be working full time, and trying to juggle all the sports and the activities, and especially in Northern Virginia,
God
and the travel and like, the schedules. I'm like, whoa, that's like overwhelming for me. So, I love my children. They are my greatest teachers. Ella Rose is 7 and Noah is 11. I'm so blessed and lucky to have, they're just wonderful children.
I feel like on July 11th, you have to do something. They're 7 and 11 right now.
I know. They are
you gotta
old.
You gotta take full advantage of this.
Great. Yeah.
You gotta do something with that. Like,
sure.
How often, you're only going to get this one shot at like making 7 and 11 personal.
Well, they are just having so much fun. Just say 7-11.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Gotta do it.
I didn't even think of that. That's a great idea.
Just trying to be an addition.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be an addition.
Yes, we will bring that up. I'm sure they will be all over it.
Yeah, mine won't quite line up that way. When my youngest hits her birthday, she'll be 6, and then I'll have 6 and 12. So I won't get 6, 7.
12 is a thing.
But, just kind of like, you're there and you're halfway there. We're going.
Right.
But yeah, 7-11. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. So funny right now, and they're really lovely. I tell everyone they're like a Venn diagram where they have all the great core characteristics. They're both very curious and creative and loving and kind, and humorous. They're just very, very silly, and they care about people. But then, Noah's very introverted and quiet. He's a think first and then fire. Ella is like, very extroverted. She is like, shoot first, ask questions later kind of thing. And so
she asks for forgiveness instead of asking permission.
Right.
She's gonna run the world.
Sure.
She's ready for the world.
But Noah's also like, I'm hungry. I'm like, where food is. And Ella's like, have you gotten this? And I've got my lunch packed and I've got that. And Noah, did you take care of it? So,
okay. All right. Ella Rose.
Yeah.
Ella Rose, little boss.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's getting Noah a lot. Mm-hmm. Noah, take care of business. Mommy's busy.
Yeah. It's helpful. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Parenting is fun.
It is. And I really like to encourage their relationship. So, how kids, they'll fight for sibling rivalry and they both they want to be your favorite. And I keep telling them like, I have no favorites, right? And I make it so that they're a team versus me, right? So it's them against me, right? Exactly.
You're willing to be the other.
Exactly, where there's a hierarchy and stuff. And then I also have these fun little things that I do with them where to reinforce their behavior, so they won't do bad things. So I make it so ridiculous for them to do apologies and stuff. I make them, if they do something wrong, they have to apologize. They have to say what it's for. They have to ask for forgiveness. They have to hug it out, right? And so they don't want me to do my ridiculous stuff. And so they just behave. And when they're pickpacking at each other, and I'm like, hey, no, I make them do gratitude flooding. And so they have to sit in front of each other, hold each other's hand, look into each other's eyes and tell each other 3 things that they love about each other. And so
I think I'm going to have to pick that one up.
It is the greatest thing because you can't not be smiling by the end of it. And so they do, but they also don't want to do that. So, but they do feel good and it does encourage the relationship.
That doesn't sound like flying by the seat of your pants at all. That sounds very thought out, very intentional, and also very fun. Mm-hmm. Also very fun. That is awesome.
I like to keep the fun, but yeah, I do think making sure that they have a strong relationship is really important to me because they're the only 2 people that will ever have the experience of growing up with, their father and I, and in the entire world.
Right.
And I think it's good to have somebody that you can lean into and have, a partner for a lifetime.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, if you ever decide that you want to have a favorite, you can use my line. My favorite child is a well-behaved child. So my children both have the opportunity to be my favorites every single day.
Right.
And I put that out there hey, listen, this maybe it's the daddy in me, but I want you to aspire to be the favorite. Mm-hmm. This is the path to favoritism. You want me to be favoring you, then this is the way to pull it off. And every time they pull it off, I'm like, you're my favorite.
Right. I love that.
Just a little bait. Mm-hmm. Just a little bait. But with the practice that you've got now, so you talked about how you kind of advanced in your career. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the name of the practice is literally the word love. And what language is it in?
Well, it's Caritas Counseling and Psychiatric Services. And so Caritas means love. It just means love. It's old English, but there's been a lot of different terms. Part of the reason that I love it is, I grew up Catholic, so I have I think faith or spirituality or connection to community or something greater is just essential. A part of humans and how we're made. Right. I don't care what we call it, but it seems to me that everyone has something. And so within growing up Catholic, Caritas was used as Catholic Charities and for charities and stuff like that. And then as I was going through my nursing career, Jean Watson, who does the nursing, caring science, she uses the Caritas, and the Caritas are a way of showing love as a healing art. And so, again, with love in action it just, when I thought about the name of my practice, that one just seemed to come to me and felt right. So
yeah, so like this tattoo I've got right here is actually the word agape.
Yes.
And in Greek, because agape is, love as well, and it's love for all.
Right.
And
it's the same, similar kind.
Independently of the self. So like my want for you to have the absolute best for you is not because I get something from it.
Right.
And that is kind of at the heart of my practice, is that like I want my clients to be well. Right. And I don't know exactly what wellness looks like for each one of them, because I do think it's a unique thing for each person. But I want to help them be well, and I want to get myself fired. So it seems like, when we talked last week, we were talking about just how much overlap we have in how we're approaching things, what we want for our clients, and kind of how we see things. And it's always nice to meet another person who's kind of got that same spirit to them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So what, if anything, would you want to share about your own wellness journey?
I mean, I think, well, I was raised Catholic, and I remember going to church and basically seeing Jesus on the cross. And I might have been a weird kid. I might be a weird person. I probably am.
If you're cool with me, you're weird.
I'm just like, I like my weird.
Right, I like my weird.
But yeah, I remember just sitting there and like thinking, from like 5 years old, like, what could have happened? Like, how could human beings justify like doing that to another human being? Right. And you could take all the Messiah, Jesus was a historical figure, right? And I couldn't even figure out like what would cause. He didn't seem to be doing anything that I thought was like, especially terrible. And it really befuddled me. Like I didn't understand how humans could behave in that way and do something like that.
Right. And
I honestly think that most of my life I have been trying to figure that out. And so that I could help in some way, shape, or form, for us to not continue to do things like that.
Yeah. I get that. I get that completely, because this is actually Jesus in the garden asking for the cross to be taken from him. Right. In my opinion, it's his most human moment, because like any good human, you guys sent here for one purpose, and you're like, I don't really want to do it. Right. Can I not do it? Because somebody else do it. And he actually went 3 different times asking the same thing. But at the end of each time he went, he said, not my will, but your will be done. And that's what made him divine. And I don't think there is a good explanation for why any group of people, individuals or a group, would come to a place where the best way to deal with something is to treat somebody in that way. But we live in a world today, right now, where there's a lot of that going on, where there is no good explanation for why we think certain groups shouldn't be here, or why, because of someone's skin color, that matters, or who they decide to lay with at the end of the day, or whatever. Any of these things that have been highlighted as good reasons to hate, any of these reasons that have been highlighted as reasons to exclude, or anything of that sort, like, they just don't really make sense when you say them out loud. Whoever believes that, you're entitled to your beliefs, you're your own person, but like, really, it's worth your time to sit back. And I would say it to you as the audience. I mean, I hope you're thinking about this as well. How did I get here? How did I get to this point where I look at another person and I see something less than a person? Right. And I see something less than a person because of some characteristic about them that in many cases they have no control over. I love being Black. Love it. It's been great. Me and Black have gotten along for 40 years. I've had some rough times where I've been around other people who weren't as good with me being Black, but I've been good with it the whole time. But I honestly didn't have a hand in it. Like, my parents happen to be Black. Their parents happen to be Black. I imagine their parents happen to be Black too. I do believe I'm 1/16 white. I did do a little research, and I do believe I have one of my 16 ancestors somewhere back that happen to be white. And here I am today. And I'm cool with the black. But like, yes, I think that too often we, in our field especially, are shy about acknowledging that, hey, people are hurting, and they're hurting not just because of their day-to-day lives where, you know, they maybe process things in a problematic way or they do things excessively. They're also hurting in a historical way where they may feel excluded from the rooms they walk into, that they feel like their boat gets all the tidal waves or something along those lines.
Yeah, actually,
and that conversation just doesn't happen as fluidly, or when it does happen from our field, it's typically coming from a place of hurt and anger itself.
Right.
So it's really hard to hear it because you're just like, whoa, Jack, like,
right.
Is that ethical? Like, are you supposed to be talking that harshly about the matter? So it's like, can we find a middle ground where we can acknowledge the pain that we all kind of sit with in whatever way it may show up? And hell, I mean, we ain't even got to go to something like race or, you know, whatever the case may be. Men and women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Men and women.
Right.
Ladies have gone through quite a few things over the many eons. And sadly, sometimes guys have not always appreciated it because we've got our own wounds and we've got our own suffering. And then like you go back and forth between the two, comparing pains. And I go as far as, and this is a bit bold, and it's a new uncharted territory for the podcast because I haven't whipped this one out for you guys yet. But when people start comparing pains, I say, oh, you're breaking out the scales.
Right.
And they're like, what? I'm like, you're breaking out the scales. I'm like, okay, so tell me this. Which one's worse, the Holocaust or slavery? And they're like, what? And I'm like, right. Because pain is pain.
Right.
Pain is pain. And we don't have to figure out who's hurting more in order to recognize somebody else's hurt.
Absolutely. Well, one, I want to go back to what you were saying earlier. My book actually has all that. And I really went to break down why people do the things they do.
How about
that? It's like mimetic desire. So it goes very systematically and overlays a lot of different things about how we have these attachments to group belonging, and how we then sort of find that it's just a very basic
outbrooding
right. And so like, you know, with the other, and so my other focus is that we're all just human, right? Like that's our first group to belong to is human. And then as long as we do everything underneath of that, but you know, when people relate to one another on a human to human level, then there's a lot more that people can remember that they're actually connected and they have in common, rather than if we sort of pigeonhole ourselves into these one little teeny aspects of things. And I think that, again, there's like incredible levels when we forget that the other person is a human and we sort of put them in this little box of a characteristic or an ideology or a race or whatever. We dehumanize them.
Right.
And then
you strip away their humanity.
Exactly. And so what it does is it helps us avoid guilt for hurting somebody or doing something, because they're more like a placeholder. They don't have a full identity. They don't have the same problem. They don't have family like we do. They don't have, you know, they're not struggling to pay their healthcare bills like that, right? You know, or again, their taxes, things, and so it becomes different, and the rules of moral consciousness no longer apply when we put people in boxes. But it also hurts us when we make these attachments to things, because it diminishes our humanness, right? We are fully human and have a bunch of different characteristics.
We got to integrate.
And we have the capacity to behave in any way, shape, or form that we want. And so, you know, I think a lot of these things are passed down generationally. A lot of places where people are, they're not really able to, you know, some of it is effort that they've gotten themselves there. Some of it is plain luck. Most of it is completely out of our control.
Right.
And again, to be able to, you know, hold someone to a standard when they didn't have much control of their environment or how they came to be.
Right.
You know, the other point that you were saying is that focusing on actually healing, Like, I think it's important to say the grief happened and the pain happened.
Right.
And there can be
on.
healing.
Yep.
I see that a lot with even a lot of people that are well known in the health, healing, relationship field. They're actually focused not on the self, and they're focused on others, or they're sort of staying in the victim position, and like an empowerment, but in the victim position.
Right.
So they're not fully healed, where there's a level of forgiveness. And the way that I say things is that, most of us, parents or life wasn't the worst and it wasn't the best.
Right.
It was somewhere in the middle. That middle might be different, but it had an impact on us.
Exactly.
And it's totally okay to say, just realistically, without any judgment, that impact, right? Some of it is still causing us to not be able to participate in life as effectively as we would want to.
Right.
Some of it's great, but some of it we might need to, add a little more nuance to, and kind of update some of the programs. So.
Yeah, and I feel like a common thing that I say within sessions and also independently, I said on social media as recently as this week, we have to overcome our childhood. That doesn't mean our childhood was bad. Doesn't mean it was great. It just means that we can't stay in the same place we were during that period of time.
Right.
Because during our childhood, we don't have any say really over our environment. We really didn't pick the family we were born into.
Sure.
We don't often get to pick the schools that we go to. So there's a lot of things that are set in place for us that we then react to and then adapt to. Mm-hmm. And once you get out of that space of the childhood and you become that person that is making decisions about where you live, who you commune with, what you do as spare time activities, all of that's empowering if you allow it to be, or it can be overwhelming if you don't.
Right.
If you see it as, oh, I don't want to have to make all these decisions, it's like, no. This is how the natural progression of things go. You become the one that takes the lead. Right. You become the one who sets the agenda. And that can be, again, empowering if you allow it to be. Right. Because now when I'm sitting with somebody and I'm enjoying their company because they're enjoyable to be around. And I'm also reinforcing myself for being a good decision maker, because now I get to sit with somebody who's awesome.
Right.
But
like now.
Right. Exactly. See, you see. But if somebody wants to connect with you because they want to learn more about what you do, or they want to follow you on social media, where do you find you?
So I have Facebook is Caritas Counseling and Psychiatric Services. I have an Instagram at Caritas CPS. I am on LinkedIn. I have a website, which is www.caritascps.com, where
all
you can
the links
find my
in the description
blog, and you can also book online. So hopefully, I set up my WooCommerce. I didn't set it up. Someone helped me set it up. But so that I can slowly build the store, slowly. And I'll be able to have my books there eventually. But
okay. All right.
Eventually.
Well, if you haven't already, there's going to be a little thing right there that's going to have the Instagram and the Facebook and everything. And like I said, link in the description. Go check her out. Go check out the stuff that she's put out. She's put out amazing things. It will help you, I assure you. I thank you so much for sharing some time with me.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much for making time to sit and talk with me in front of a camera.
It's so fun.
Oh, yes, always. And for you all, I need you to keep watching, because we've got amazing ladies that I have been able to sit with and interview. And I thank you for being a part of this process, because honestly, it's been a labor of love in the best way possible. But click like, share, and subscribe. I keep saying that the notification bell will let you know when the next session or the next podcast is released. And that's actually how you subscribe. So like, put the two together, like ignore me on that part. But we're also on Spotify now. I have been forgetting to mention that because it took so long for me to get us on Spotify that I didn't even mention it. But we're there too. So you can check us out there. But as usual, I would love for you to be well. This has been the Actual Well Podcast.